Hi kids, I'm Mrs. Nazarian and this is my friend Gus. Gus is, he's kind of shy. I'm gonna try to get him to say something to you, but he's feeling a little nervous about being videoed. Gus, you wanna say something to the kids? Oh, come on Gus, say hi. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be the first lesson. This is in our reading unit, which is fairy tales. And we're going to start the first half with Cinderella tales. Gus really likes this. There's a whole bunch of different Cinderella books. Cinderella is a very old story that used to be told like from the grandparents to the grandkids. It was passed down from generation to generation, and then somebody decided to write it down. And it's one of the most popular stories. I'm sure that maybe you saw a Cinderella movie or you have some Cinderella books at home. Gus needs to fly away. We're gonna see him a little later. Bye, Gus. Some of the books we're gonna read in our Cinderella unit is this classic tale, just called Cinderella. And this is the story that most of the movies that you may have seen have been based on. This is also a Cinderella tale. It's Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, and it's an African Cinderella story. We'll read that later in another lesson. This is Fair, Brown, and Trembling, and it's an Irish Cinderella story. Here's one of my favorites. It's The Rough Face Girl, and it's a Native American story. This one's really funny. It's a Bigfoot Cinderella, and it takes place in an old-growth redwood forest. And this one is my favorite. It's called Prince Cinders. And I don't think we'll read this. I think that I will ask you to find Prince Cinders on YouTube and watch it. There's a movie made, and it's a short movie, and it's really funny. So one of the things we're going to do in this unit is we're going to fill out a Cinderella story recipe chart. So there's some things that you're going to find in most of the Cinderella stories that you read, even your Cinderella books at home. So the one we're going to read today is Cinderella Classic. That's the book title. And we're going to check off if Cinderella is kind, if the siblings are mean. Siblings mean like brothers and sisters. If something is lost, and if Cinderella character goes from poor to rich. So we'll fill out this chart when we're done reading our first book. The other thing I want you to think about while I'm reading is the character traits, getting to know the character or getting to know our Cinderella characters. There's two ways to think about getting to know someone. The first is physical traits. What do they look like? What color is their hair? Are they tall? Are they thin? Are they have long hair? What do they look like? Another way to get to know a character is character or personality traits. And the way you think about this is, what do they think? What do they do? What are they like? Are they kind? Are they mean? Are they shy? Are they courageous? So I want you to be thinking about how we can get to know Cinderella while I'm reading this book too, and we'll come back to this chart and talk about that after the story. I need my glasses. Cinderella, a classic tale. I think this is Cinderella here. And I wonder who that character is. This is an old book, so the illustrations are done in like black and white. Yeah. Long ago, there lived a fine old gentleman whose beloved wife died after many happy years of marriage. The kind man was left alone to raise their sweet and fair daughter, Ella. He also had to attend to the many details of keeping a large home. The new duties overwhelmed the poor man. After a time, Ella's father decided to marry again. His second wife was a widow with two very unpleasant daughters, Anastasia and Drusilla. The girls were proud and vain and snobbish. People noted how much they were like their mother. From their first meeting, the stepmother and her daughters hated Ella, for she was all that they were not. Ella was beautiful, inside and out. That might help us to get to know her. Think about what that means. And the stepsisters were green with envy. As long as Ella's father was alive, though they dared not act on their evil feelings. Sadly, Ella's father soon died. After her father's death, sweet Ella was left alone and unprotected from the wrath of the three selfish women. They quickly turned Ella into a servant in her own home. From dawn to dusk, she was put to work. She scrubbed the floors, scoured the pots, and swept the ashes from the hearth. While Ella worked, her stepmother and stepsisters did nothing but urge her to do more. Oh, let's look at this illustration again. Oh, that must be Ella. And here's the stepmother and the two stepsisters. I notice that they're looking fancy, like they have fancy clothes on. And Ella is dressed simply. Oh, what is she doing? At night, each stepsister slept on a fine mattress of goose down. Ella slept on a pile of straw laid beside the fireplace. Yet the lovely child endured her new station without complaint. So it seemed like things were tough on Ella, but the author's telling us that she didn't complain about it. That could be another clue about a personality trait and will help us get to know who Ella is. Ella would sit in the chimney corner and dream about another world in which life might be sweeter. Oh, so let's look at this illustration. There's Ella sitting by the fire. Oh, I see this sister pointing a finger, and they look like they're laughing. Maybe they're laughing at Ella. Let's read on. It was her habit of finding peace among the cinders that gave Ella's stepsisters cause to mock her with a new name. One evening, Drusilla saw Ella daydreaming among the cinders, her face and her hair smudged with grime. Despite the soot, Ella glowed with the beauty that only inner goodness can bring. Drusilla's heart was filled with envy. "Look at those cinders on Ella," she said. "Did you ever see so many cinders on one person? We should call her Cinderella." From that moment forward, all three of the cruel ladies called her Cinderella and nothing else. For Cinderella, the days dragged on in this unfortunate manner. Then a great occasion came to pass. The king's only son had come of age. It was time for the prince to select a bride. So a royal ball was arranged. At the ball, the prince would meet the finest ladies in the land. Every young lady hoped that she would be chosen to become the wife of the handsome prince. Each girl dreamed of one day being queen. The stepsisters hoped the prince would invite them. As they waited, they preened and posed before every mirror in the house. One bright day, there came a knock on the front door. A footman in fine livery presented an invitation bearing the royal seal. The invitation brought with it much excitement. Oh, there's one of the mirrors. And the sisters, it looks like they're getting fancy dresses on. And there's Ella. Oh, she's helping this sister. Is it okay if I look at it this way? The household was thrown into turmoil. The stepmother and her daughters did not have a moment to spare. The finest silks and satins had to be ordered and then sewn into lovely gowns and ruffled petticoats. Yards and yards of delicate white lace and bright ribbons had to be attached in just the right places. Each of the sisters demanded the time and attention of everyone in the household. They squabbled between themselves about who would get to wear which colors and fabrics. They fussed over every detail of their dresses, each worried that the other would gain some small advantage in the prince's favor. There was nothing that the two girls did not find to argue about. They argued most about who was to have the use of Cinderella as a helper. That gives us an idea of the character of the sisters, doesn't it? Poor Cinderella was kept busy starching and sewing and ironing and sewing and starching and ironing again from dawn to dusk. Yet no matter how hard she tried, she was never able to please her stepsisters. At last, the night of the grand ball arrived. Cinderella, who had a special gift for style, despite the rags she wore, helped her vain stepsisters into their lovely gowns. She tried to appear bright and cheerful, but her heart was heavy with longing. How I would love to go to the prince's ball. Cinderella sighed. You at the ball? Anastasia asked, her round cheeks puffing out in disdain. Cinderella wants to go to the prince's ball. You at the ball? Anastasia asked, her round cheeks puffing out in disdain. Oh, did I read that part already? I think I did. Drusilla laughed aloud. It would surely make everyone laugh to see a maid at the prince's ball, she said. Now, sweet Cinderella said nothing, though her stepsister's words hurt her. Her eyes filled with tears as she watched her stepmother and stepsisters stride to the fine coach that awaited them, and then ride off to the grand ball. Cinderella rushed to her chimney corner, sat down among the cinders, and wept bitterly. As she sat there crying, Cinderella felt a cool breeze. Ooh! She shivered and looked up, thinking that the door had somehow opened, but it was tightly shut. Then Cinderella saw a swirl of light come down from the ceiling. The light touched the floor, and in a blaze of color, a tiny old lady with a sweet face appeared before Cinderella. You needn't cry any more, Cinderella, for I am your fairy godmother, and I have come to help you. Tell me what it is that you want, and I will make your dreams come true," she said. Cinderella gazed up with wonder in her eyes at the sweet little woman. "Oh, it is my greatest dream to be able to go to the ball and meet the prince. But that will never happen, I know." "Oh, but it will happen," said the little lady, smiling brightly. "Dry your eyes, child, run into the garden and bring back the largest pumpkin you can find. Hurry! The ball's about to begin and we have no time to spare." Cinderella did exactly as she was told, and she placed the pumpkin before her fairy godmother. The little lady tapped it with her wand. In an instant, the pumpkin was changed into a beautiful golden coach. Cinderella smiled with delight at the spectacle before her. Do you want to see the illustration? Look. Oh, wait a minute. That was the same illustration on the cover. Oh, so now we know this character is the fairy godmother, and she came to help Cinderella. "Now bring me the mousetrap from the pantry." Cinderella was too amazed to speak. She simply did as she was told without making a sound. She found that the mousetrap was filled with 6 young mice. "Ah," sighed her fairy godmother as Cinderella set the trap before her. "These mice will make a fine team of horses." She waved her magic wand, and 6 white horses with flowing manes pranced before the coach. "Now you need a coachman to drive them. See if a rat has been caught in the scullery trap," said her godmother. Cinderella ran to the scullery and returned with a rat trap containing 1 fat rat with long white whiskers. "What a grand coachman we soon will have," said the godmother. She tapped the rat, and in an instant it became a coachman with twinkling eyes and rosy cheeks. The coachman, wearing the finest velvet uniform, stepped up to the horses and harnessed them to the golden coach. Cinderella gazed in wonder at the coach. Then she looked down at her rags. "Oh, how can I go to the ball dressed as I am?" she asked. "Oh, no one will be dressed more beautifully than you," said the fairy godmother. With a touch of her wand, she transformed Cinderella into a breathtaking sight. Cinderella's beauty, which shone even when she was covered in soot, was now overwhelming. Cinderella looked like a princess. Her dress shimmered with silver and gold, and the diamond clasp in her hair sparkled like evening stars. On her feet, she wore delicate slippers made of glass. I bet you want to see the illustration. Oh, look at that. The mice turned into horses. Oh, you can still kind of see that the coach is in the shape of a pumpkin. Oh, look, it's the fairy godmother, and there's her wand. And this must be Cinderella. Oh, she's not wearing rags anymore. Oh, and the fat rat turned into the coachman. What an amazing fantasy, huh? Oh, you're going to be happy when you see this. "Now go and be happy as you deserve to be," her fairy godmother said. "But I have a warning for you. Be certain to leave the ball before midnight. When the clock strikes 12, you will find yourself in rags, and the coachman, and horses will be what they were before." "Oh, never fear," cried Cinderella, her eyes aglow with happiness. "I shall not forget." "Goodbye, and thank you." The coachman snapped his whip, and the horses leapt forward. Cinderella was on her way to the ball. Now Cinderella arrived at the height of the ball. The violins were playing, and a swirl of dancing people in elegant attire colored the ballroom floor. A sudden hush silenced the gathering as all eyes turned to the top of the staircase where the beautiful Cinderella stood. "Oh, who is she?" the whispers began. "Oh, she must be a princess. Oh, a grand princess indeed. Oh, why, she is absolutely stunning. Oh, has the prince seen her?" Suddenly, the prince caught sight of the beautiful, kind young woman descending the marble staircase. He went to her and extended his hand. "Please, may I have the honor of this dance?" he asked. The prince danced every dance with Cinderella. Do you want to see this? There's the prince. You can see, some people looking at them. Here's Cinderella. Some people dancing. It looks like a big hall, doesn't it? Everyone wondered who Cinderella was. Even her stepmother and stepsisters did not recognize her. Though she spoke sweetly to them, they all tried to find out the identity of the lovely stranger. But Cinderella was careful to say nothing about herself. Just before 12 o'clock, she whispered to the prince, "I must leave now." Before he could beg her to stay, Cinderella was gone. When her stepmother and stepsisters returned from the ball, Cinderella pretended she had been asleep and greeted them with a yawn. "Oh, the ball must have been wonderful," she said. "Oh, it was more wonderful than imagined," Drusilla exclaimed. "How sad that you had to miss it, Cinderella," said Anastasia. "The most beautiful girl was at the ball. Everyone was stunned by her beauty, especially the prince." "Oh, what was her name?" asked Cinderella. "Oh, no one knows, not even the prince. He is having another ball tomorrow night, hoping that she will return," said Drusilla. At the news that the prince wanted to see her again, Cinderella's heart was filled with joy. "May I go to the ball tomorrow evening?" she asked shyly. Both stepsisters shrieked. "A scullery maid does not belong at the prince's ball." Their mother gave Cinderella a scornful look. "Of course you may go to the ball," she said mockingly, "if you have a proper gown." Tears sprang to Cinderella's eyes. She knew that if she even tried to borrow an old dress from her stepsisters, they would simply rip it away from her. The next day, the house was filled with excitement. That night's ball was to be even more elaborate than the first. Though the two stepsisters tried to make themselves as lovely as they could be, their looks could never compare to Cinderella's. All the ribbons, lace, and corsets in the world could not make the stepsisters as beautiful as Cinderella was in her rags. As the time to depart approached, Cinderella's stepmother called out, "Cinderella, we are leaving now. Finish your work while we enjoy ourselves at the ball." "It is such a pity that you cannot join us," Drusilla said with a sneer. "I am sure you would love to see that beautiful princess," said Anastasia. "That is, if she comes back. Have fun." As she watched the ladies leave for the ball, Cinderella did indeed wonder if she would be able to go back to the palace. Would she ever see the prince again? She was ashamed to go to the ball dressed in her rags, but she had no other clothes to wear. Not knowing what else to do, Cinderella slumped into her chimney corner and cried. Oh. There goes the sisters and the mother to the ball. I bet Cinderella is feeling pretty sorry for herself. Then, just as before, A swirl of light came from the ceiling. Suddenly the godmother appeared. "Why should you be crying, dear Cinderella, on the night of the prince's ball? Do you think that I have forgotten you?" Her fairy godmother tapped the Cinderella's shoulder with her wand, and the tattered dress became a magnificent gown of satin and silk. She was adorned with emeralds and pearls, and her long golden tresses were arranged in a beautiful fashion. I think that means her hair. On her feet she wore delicate slippers made of glass. Just as the evening before, her fairy godmother turned a pumpkin into a coach, mice into white horses, and a rat into a coachman. As she helped Cinderella into the coach, her fairy godmother cautioned her. "Be certain to leave the ball before midnight. When the clock strikes 12, you will find yourself in rags, and the coach and coachman and the horses will be what they were before." "Oh, I will not forget, fairy godmother," said Cinderella. Again, as on the evening before, Cinderella arrived at the height of the ball's splendor. All eyes turned toward the top of the staircase to see the new arrival. "Oh, the princess has returned," people whispered. "Why, she's even more stunning than before. Oh, that gown is truly magnificent. And those emeralds and pearls are beyond compare. Oh, has the prince seen her yet?" Just as on the evening before, the prince made his way to the lovely Cinderella. "Oh, I was hoping you would return. Please dance with me again," he said. Oh, here's Cinderella at the top of the stairs. She does look lovely. Oh, is that a knight in the background? Now the prince took Cinderella into his arms, and they danced away the evening. It was clear to all those watching that the handsome prince was taken with the beautiful lady. After her arrival, just as the night before, he danced with no other ladies. The two of them were having a wonderful time. It seemed that hours passed as minutes. Soon the clock chimed the hour of 12. All at once, Cinderella realized that she lost track of the time. She broke away from the prince and moved quickly through the crowded dance floor. As she rushed up the marble stairway, one of her slippers caught on a stair. Now Cinderella had no time to stop and retrieve it. She disappeared into the night, leaving her slipper behind. Moments later, the confused prince made his way up the staircase looking for the lovely lady. He saw the glass slipper and picked it up. He walked to the door and asked the doorman, "Did you see a beautiful lady in a stunning gown leave the ballroom?" "Oh, no, your royal prince, I did not," said the doorman. "I saw only a girl in rags running off into the night." Oh, look, there she is, running up the stairs. Oop, there's her shoe falling off. By morning, the kingdom was alive with talk of the beautiful stranger. The prince was hopelessly in love with her, though he did not know her name. The glass slipper she had left behind was his only hope of finding her. That afternoon, everyone in the kingdom gathered to hear the royal proclamation. All the ladies in the land would have an opportunity to try on the glass slipper. The prince would marry the lady whose foot could fit the slipper. Now for days, the prince and his footmen went from house to house, searching the kingdom for the lady who could wear the slipper. Hundreds of ladies tried on the slipper, but it fit none of them. At last, the prince and his footmen arrived at Cinderella's home. Cinderella watched from behind a door at first, while one of her stepsisters had tried to get her foot into the tiny slipper. Though each pulled and tugged to get the slipper on, neither one of her sisters could fit into the slipper. Now the footman looked around and asked, "Are there any other ladies in this house?" "Only a maid," said the stepmother. The stepsisters laughed aloud. The idea of Cinderella trying on the slipper. But the prince said, "Allow the maid to have a turn." Oh, look, Cinderella's watching. Oh, there's the prince. There's the sister trying to fit her foot into the slipper. Cinderella shyly stepped forward. Oh, shyly stepped forward. That tells us something about her character, doesn't it? She's kind of quiet, I think. Her foot slipped easily into the tiny glass slipper. Everyone was amazed. Then Cinderella produced the other glass slipper from her pocket and quickly slipped it on as well. A light swirled down from the ceiling and Cinderella's fairy godmother appeared. With a tap of her wand, she transformed Cinderella into the stunning young woman who had charmed everyone at the ball. The prince took Cinderella's hand and knelt before her. "I cannot live without you. Please say you will marry me." "Yes, I will marry you," Cinderella replied with a smile. Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters begged her to forgive them for the years of cruelty they had made her endure. Cinderella forgave them gladly and invited them to visit her at the palace. That says a lot about her character. I'm going to go back and read that part that really stands out. I know they were so mean to her because we read about that, and they were cruel and they made fun of her and they made her do all the work. Yet Cinderella forgave them gladly. It says that right there. And invited them to visit her at the palace. So she wasn't even angry at them anymore. It's interesting. Oh, you want to see the illustration, don't you? Oh, there's the prince. "Oh, please marry me." And there's Cinderella. "Ah, yes, I will." And the cat's like, "Yee-hoo, we're going to live in a palace." Soon after, the prince and Cinderella were married in the grand manner befitting a prince. From that day forward, Cinderella's fairy godmother guided and protected the happy pair. Cinderella and her prince reigned over their peaceful kingdom and lived happily ever after. Oh, yay! Okay, so let's look at our chart. This first one is the Cinderella story recipe. So I think I have something. Oh, maybe I can just put it right up here. There we go. That's good enough. So I'm going to check it. So I want you guys to help me, okay? So let's see. I already put the book title. Cinderella is kind. What do you think? Yeah, she's really kind. I'm not sure I could be that kind to people that are really mean to me. That would take a lot of effort. Siblings are mean. Her stepsisters, were they mean? Yeah. Was there something lost? What do you think? What was lost? Oh, yeah, you're right. The slipper, the glass slipper was lost. Cinderella goes from poor to rich. Is that true? Well, I think her dad had money at that big house. And they had fancy dresses, the stepsisters and the stepmother. But I suppose Cinderella didn't get to benefit from that. So what do you think? Was Cinderella poor and then went to rich? Well, she got to move into the castle What do you think? Oh, yeah, you have a good point there. She wasn't really rich. It was the stepsisters and the stepmother that were living rich. So let's give that a check mark. Okay, so this book meets all of the ingredients, right, in the recipe. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was really fun. I can't wait to read another Cinderella book with you. Oh, I know. One more thing. Getting to know the character. Yeah. The physical traits. The book really didn't describe so much what she looked like if her hair was brown or blonde or red. But it did describe her as being very beautiful. On the inside, which would be her character traits, and on the outside, which is be the way she looked. Now, did you get to know what kind of personality she has by what she was thinking and what she did? And there was a lot of describing words like she was kind and shy, definitely forgiving, right? So what I'd like you to do is when you're reading your books at home, your chapter books or your picture books, or maybe you're reading to your younger brothers and sisters, I want you to think about the characters in the books that you're reading. Get to know those characters. Think about, what do they look like physically? What do they look like? And then I want you to think about, what is their character or their personality traits? What are they like on the inside? Are they kind? Are they mean? Are they quick? Do they move slowly? Are they shy? Are ambitious? Get to know your characters. Think about it. And if you can, maybe describe your character to your parent or your sibling to practice that. That would be a good way to learn your character traits, to practice it in your own reading. Oh, look who wants to come back to say bye. It's Gus. Hi, Gus. Yeah. So I'm going to describe Gus to you, right? Gus's physical traits is he's white and spotted. He's an owl. He's furry. He's really soft. He has a dark beak and dark eyes, and his head turns all the way around. Oh, and he has claws, yeah, and wings, right? And Gus flies. So that's describing his physical traits, right? Now, I'm going to describe Gus's personality traits or his character traits. Well, Gus is kind of hard to get to know because he's so shy. It's true, Gus. I mean, you should really open up so we can get to know you. Oh, okay. So one thing I know about Gus is he's shy. Yeah, it's true. And he's very good at flying. Oh, and he's a good hunter. Yeah. And he's very observant. He is always watching people and mice. Yep. Okay. All right. So practice getting to know the characters in your books. That's what I want you to be doing until I meet you again. Okay. Bye.